Daniel Lanning joining us from headquarters there in Eugene. Where are you? Set the scene for us right now.
I'm in the media room right here at Oregon. I hear you say Daniel, man. I thought my mom was talking to me for a second.
I know. I was going to ask you if, like, growing up, if you had nicknames, but your parents called you Daniel.
Everybody I grew up with calls me Daniel. Everybody called me
Everybody.
Daniel probably until I got my first teaching job. I was Daniel in college too.
Yeah.
I had to, scratch it. It's a little more.
There's kind of a growing up that happens when you're like, my parents, if they said Johnny, only they could call me Johnny, and you'd know that. So I won't do that again. But how are you doing? Are you hydrating? Because you have what? You have Portal, you got a football game, you got kids, you got a family. Are you hydrating? What's going on in your life?
I need to hydrate.
All right. You gotta get your fluids. But what is that like? Give us an idea of what that's like to have all these things going on at once.
Try to be really narrow focused. You try to focus on one thing at a time, kind of wake up in the morning and say, here are the things that we have to accomplish. And really, I'll be honest, my complete focus is us putting this team that worked so hard to be in position to win this game. And that probably affects some of our other stuff right now, but you trust the people in your organization to make sure they're on top of things as well. But I feel like this game requires and deserves my full attention, and you try to do the best you can when it comes to some of the other stuff that's going on.
The Orange Bowl, you used a line from Shakespeare, Merchant of Venice, a pound of flesh. That comes from Merchant of Venice. Your parents would be proud of that as school teachers, but I don't even know if you knew that, but
I didn't. I just remember, I don't know why I was thinking about it, but I was sitting in the locker room right before, and I was like, I don't know. I said, okay, wait, what can I say?
Yeah.
I wanted this game to be violent. I felt that kind of describes that. I felt like this game is something that you were owed. I felt like we were doubted. We weren't, people didn't think we were gonna have success in that game, and I was just trying to make sure they understood we got to go take this.
Yeah, there's a retribution factor there that you brought up too in that speech, and I feel like, is there more of a art and science now to getting your team ready than maybe before, or has it always been that way? Like even when you were in high school?
There's probably some thought to it. I used to think, okay, big games, try to be calm. They're going to be fired up already. You need them to be even keel. Games that they feel really confident walking into, you got to fire them up and get the juices going. But I think our team responds to stepping out there in the field and having some juice and having some energy. So I probably lean towards that a little bit more this year. I think every team's different. You got to know your team and be able to adapt the message based on that.
You have adopted this growth mindset where you keep talking about growth and these incremental steps that you want to take. You want to get 1% better. Where did you pick that up?
I mean, it's been a DNA trait really since we got here. We didn't create our DNA traits until really about 3 months in. I passed out note cards to the entire team, and I had them write down our strengths and our weaknesses, and then we kind of pulled it away from there. Like, what's going to be some core principles of this program? And it's really been one to me that's been really evident, and it's been helpful. And I want the players to know, just like I'm asking them to get better, I'm asking every coach to get better, every assistant, everybody in the organization to improve. And the only way you do that is grow. And if we stay the same, somebody will catch up or pass us by. So we got to be the best version of ourselves.
Do you set goals for yourself at the beginning of the year? Do you write things down? Is there like a private vault that you have where you have like Dan Lanning's goals? And
it's all in my mirror. It's all in my mirror.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What does that look like? Is it like Post-it notes?
I take a dry erase marker, and I have it sitting right there by my sink. And I change stuff throughout the year, add stuff throughout the year, update things. Right as a game happens and a score happens or something, I add it.
What does that look like right now? Is it like John Nash, Beautiful Mind?
It's not crazy. It's been pretty consistent this year. The things we want, and a lot of the goals are really out there. It's crazy. Last year, I feel like I should have been more specific with some of my goals that I wrote up on the board, because there was our arm on my mirror, because we hit on a lot of them. And I don't know. I definitely think it matters.
Yeah. You like to have that goal just beyond your grasp, don't you? Like you want to get there, but you want to stay hungry and motivated. There's a key to that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the goals last year was beat UW, beat Michigan, beat Ohio State. I should have put beat Ohio State twice. That wasn't up there, but there's some things that we accomplished. We wanted to win. I win a Big Ten championship. We did that last year. That wasn't listed this year. I still think that's very important, but I just try to be really narrow focused with what the goals are and what we want to accomplish.
I like that you're using your platform to talk about how to fix the playoff, like with the home games, and that nobody should have a 25, 26 day layoff. We need to see these teams play when they're all at their best, and, you know, may the best team win. I like what the NFL does. I think maybe reseeding. Where are you on the idea of reseeding? Like, you know, throughout the playoff
After each game?
Yeah. Each round.
I don't like that. I think that's hard to prep, you know, because if you think about it, the people in our organization are already breaking down the next game, you know, and, you know, you got 2 people that you could potentially break down. If you reseeded, you'd have, like, we break down every single game, right? So if we were going into this game, we broke down every single game of Indiana. We broke down every single game of Alabama, right? If we had to break down, you know, 8 teams or 7 teams, you know, that'd be a lot of work. So I like the idea of once it's seeded, it's seeded.
Yeah. I'm going to get fancy here. I want to put a picture up. This is you and Curt Cignetti after the game at Autzen Stadium. What's Dan Lanning thinking right there in that moment?
I got beat.
How quickly are you pivoting to, I want another shot at this?
You know, I never knew if we'd get to play him again. I knew that wherever the path went, then you create an opportunity. But it's not necessarily a vengeance thing for me, or let's go get retribution. It's more like, okay, what can we learn from this game? That's probably where my mind went.
You're going to have setbacks, and that's part of the thing. I try to talk to my kids about this. Like, hey, look, bad stuff happens. You're going to have obstacles. You're going to have setbacks. I actually like adversity. Like, I find that, like, even myself, I failed and failed and failed and failed. Like, if you look back, and I think you learn a lot, don't you, from seeing how your team responds?
Yeah, for sure. I've learned a lot more from losses than I've learned from wins, unfortunately. And you learn a lot from wins, but there's something about a loss and how it, you know, motivates your team and challenges you to say, okay, let's go improve.
The you know, this game against Texas Tech, your defense showed up, and there were a lot of questions, I think, going into that game. It looked to me like that defense took it very personally. You guys went out and you played your butts off. What was that like? And what was that like to come in at halftime knowing that you had them in a headlock?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we felt like that necessarily coming in at halftime. We thought, you know, at some point something might break for them, but it was good to see our guys play to the standard they were capable of. They walked out of that last game with JMU with a little sour taste in their mouth. They practiced really, really hard, and Texas Tech is obviously a dynamic offense. They've scored a lot of points all season. So we felt like there's some things that were kind of mandates for us that we didn't want to give up, and we thought we had to tackle well, and we thought we had to really attack the ball. And those are the things that were probably the difference in the game for us.
I'm in a casino. I'm always doubling down. I'm always going full odds on the craps table. I'm watching you on 4th down, and I go, Dan, there's some of Dan Lanning's nature that does not like a 3 because he believes so deeply in his team to get that 2 yards or what. At halftime, you kind of went in. I noticed you talked to the ESPN sideline reporter, and you said, I should have took the points. How hard is that to take the points in your nature when you're in that situation?
It always goes back to what's our call versus what they're in. And we talked about what we thought they might be in, and they had the right call for what we were doing, you know, with our sprint out pass. So I couldn't call another timeout in that moment. Once we recognized it, it was going to take Dante making an unbelievable play. But I just called a timeout before that. If you remember, they blew the whistle during the play. I was pretty frustrated with that. So I think it's just a lack of focus on my part. But when you're running a sprint out into the coverage that they were running, it's not going to be a great play. So I didn't think we had the right call, and we couldn't change it in that moment. And that's why I felt like we should take the points. It's not that I minded going for it on 4th. It's that they had a better play call than we had.
You you have your pick right now because of where you are and the level you're at. You can recruit players at the highest level. What in your mind differentiates the 4 and 5 star guys that you want versus maybe the guys that you go, not for us? What are those factors that play in there?
You know, team, right? You still have to be team guys. I think that's really, really important. And more than any, you know, I'm excited about what walk-ons might join our program this offseason. You know, like, we got a good team, we have good talent. Who's going to be the glue piece that none of us expect? Who's going to be the Charlie Pickert that becomes a scholarship player, the Zach Grisham? You know, I'm looking for glue guys. Obviously, you want guys that have great talent. But the portal for us, it's gone down and down every single year. Now it's getting to the point, if you lose players, you got to find a way to be able to replace them. But I also really like our roster. I like the guys we have. So there'll be some dynamic pieces that we look for to be able to add. But most important is going to be like, what kind of teammate are they going to be? How will they fit? You've
got some young guys that are playing in this game. Your quarterback's 20. You got some 19-year-olds. You got an 18-year-old out there this season that was a contributor. Like you look around college football, and all these teams are getting older. It is. What are you getting from those young guys, or is it that's part of your thing that you want to develop guys? Maybe programs aren't developing guys anymore because of the portal.
I think it's hard because guys are impatient. They want to go play right now, and we're fortunate to have some young guys play. I always say, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So we want guys that are ready, and these guys that are young really now have some experience. And there's some really young guys that aren't playing a ton for us right now that I think are going to be really good players. You look at the impact like Jeremiah McClellan's had this season. Last year, I think he had 24 yards and 3 receptions, right? So guys have to develop, grow, get better. He's a great example of somebody that's done that. You could point out numerous people in our program that everyone's timeline's a little bit different. But at this point in the season, there's not a lot of inexperience out there on the field for us.
Yeah. Your defensive backs, I noticed early in the season, you were just rotating guys. And I kind of wondered, I was like, hey, as a DB, how hard is it to get comfortable when you're just coming in and suddenly you're rotated out? Like the same guys weren't playing all the time. But has that benefited you now in a way that like you've got guys who have had a bunch of snaps and played meaningful games?
Yeah, for sure. And you never know when that guy's number is going to be called. I told a story to our team today about a player that played for me at Georgia that didn't play all season. And then he was on the scout team. And then he started in the SEC championship game and the Orange Bowl and then the national championship. So those are the moments that you're like, okay, I wish this guy would have had some snaps earlier in the season, would have had some experience, because you want the next guy to be up and ready. And if there's a huge separating factor between one and the other, then you try to play the guy that's certainly the best. But when you have guys that are really close, you want to try to keep a rotation going so you can keep guys, fresh and playing their best.
When you guys get the big play from Mateo, I see you running down the sideline. Not far behind you is your strength and conditioning coach, Wilson Love, who, by the way, has got the best facial expressions on the team. He's just a guy that is always hyping everybody up. What makes that guy go? He looks like a rock star from the 80s.
He's a rock star in our program. I can tell you that. He's got unbelievable relationships with our players. He's the same guy every single day. Brings great juice, and certainly glad he's a part of what we're doing. He's been, a founding block of really everything that we've done on our team. Okay, when you first started, you come in, you're a first year head coach. You've seen it done. You've probably consulted with people, but you look back now, there's trajectory you had each year from 10 wins to, winning a bowl game and winning 12 and then 13 and the 1 seed. And now you've won multiple playoff games. You've kind of taken these steps. How different are you? I think I've asked you about the growth, but do you ever look back and go, man, I didn't know what I was doing 3 years ago. I do that all the time. Can you do that as a coach? Yeah, I certainly didn't. Right. There's certainly a lot of lessons to learn there. I'm a lot different today than I was when I first got here. And I hope in 5 years, I'm a lot different than I am right now. But some of the driving principles that motivate you, I think, have to stay the same.
What do you guys need to do to play your best game against Indiana?
Yeah, I think it starts with protecting the ball and attacking the ball. You look at this game last time, it's 10-10 going into half. There's a turnover, right? They're able to steal 3 points from us. Got to be better in 2-minute scenarios for us. You look at the end of the game, it's 20-20 in the fourth quarter, right? And they have a 13-play drive, right, where we didn't stop the run. We weren't executing our job properly. So we got to do our job, protect the ball, play sound on special teams. It's going to be really a fundamental game.
It feels like physicality is the name of the game right here at this level. I mean, am I understating the other stuff?
Well, they run the ball really well. And, we've ran the ball really well all year, maybe the exclusion of last week. But these are two teams that run the ball well. The hard part, with them is they run the ball and they have a great RPO game as well. So if you load the box, they're going to throw it outside to some really dynamic receivers. So can you do more with less at times? Can you load the box and hold up outside? So we'll have to pitch to them a little bit, but certainly physicality will matter in this game.
Are you getting good REM sleep? Are you having dreams?
No.
Like not dreaming? Do you have football dreams?
No.
What do you dream about?
I don't remember my last dream.
Yeah. Are you kind of person that needs to write it down right away if you have a dream?
I don't remember my last dream.
Really?
I don't remember my last dream, but I've certainly never written it down.
I think you might need more sleep.
A dream that takes more sleep.
Yeah. You need a little more sleep, but I think there's time for that after the season, probably.
That's right.
All right.
In February.
How about at home? Kids, how are they doing? How are they handling this? What kind of input are they giving you into the game plan and what they want to see?
I'm trying to figure out if they went back to school today. Is today the first day of school? They've been out of school forever, it feels like. They've been doing good, though. They're doing great. Not a lot of input on the game. You know, we don't talk a lot about football when I get home, but they really haven't been awake when I've gotten home the last few nights. So we'll catch up when the season wraps up.
That's great. All right. I appreciate you making time for this. You made Kurt Signetti laugh. I think that's already a win. You kind of broke his character in that news conference. That was good.
Chink in the armor, huh? A little chink in the armor.
Yeah, I think you got him. You got him a little bit. You got him a little bit off kilter. But you seem to have good relationships with all these coaches. Like, is there at this level, is there kind of a fraternity of, hey, I know what it's about and how hard it is?
I think we just all pretend to like each other. There's a mutual respect, but we're all cordial. And I've got a ton of respect for like it's hard to have a lot of friends in this business because you're competing against each other. So I don't see myself going on vacation with any of them anytime soon, but there's definitely a lot of mutual respect for the coaches that play in this conference and the guys that we get to go against. And maybe someday when I'm done coaching, we can have lake houses all beside each other and play golf, but we're not to that point yet.
Not there. I've talked to coaches and covered coaches like Jerry Tarkanian back in the day. I covered Tark. He had other coaches in recruiting that just played dirty, and he played dirty. But it was like he had coaches who said, "Hey, Tark's got cancer. You shouldn't go play for him." Has it gotten cleaner, or is it still kind of a?
No, yeah, I always say if you're spending your time talking about another program, you don't have enough good things to say about your own. So we very rarely are talking about somewhere else. We'll point out facts, right? Yeah. The fact is, we played in a CFP game or a New Year's game the last 3 years. The fact is we've won more games every single year we've been here. We've had a lot of guys drafted. So I always like pointing to the success we've had, rather than talking about opponent. But there's certainly some smack talk that goes on.
You got 4 teams left. Right.
4
left standing. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's special. Was there 134 teams in Division I football?
Yeah.
So it's special. It's unique. A lot of people will coach their whole career and never be in an opportunity like this. Something you certainly want to take care of and take advantage of. Put all your chips on the table. See how it plays out. You're playing good teams, right? It doesn't always go the way you want, so you try to make sure that you're controlling everything you can control to have success. You
got any more Shakespeare you're going to quote this week, or on to something new?
Time will tell.
All right. Look forward to it. See you there. I'll see you at the stadium.
All right. Thanks, John. Have a good one.
Appreciate you.